DC Multiverse!
Well, hello there, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Brad, the DC Nurse Geek. Today, why don't we have a look at the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Mr. Freeze. Here is the box. The front is black and white and blue. And there's the side, Mr. Freeze. Victor Freeze. And the back of the box showcases a fantastic piece of artwork that has very little to do with this actual version of Mr. Freeze. Now, if this figure came in the packaging, then the back of the box would make a whole lot more sense. Anywho, out of the box, as you can see, you got the figure. You have a freeze, dare I say, gun, a freeze gun. Oh, and the dirty little secret here is that you can actually just take the freeze blast out of the end of his freeze ray cannon, and you don't have to have that there. And it makes a whole lot more sense. And of course he comes with a figure stand and a trading card, which as always has a short bio on the back. No wait, that's the McDonald's menu. There you go. Pause to read if you want to. And now at first when I saw this figure I was like, cool, Mr. Freeze. And then I was like, well, I'm not entirely sure I'm down with this look for Mr. Freeze, but the longer I look at it, the more I'm like, I don't just accept this look. I love it. One thing that doesn't really come off very well when you're looking at the stock photos they give you is the fact that there really are two quite different colors here. This is like a bluish creamy white, and that's like a grayish white, grayish color. Here you can see the subtle differences right here along the arm with white, that weird creamy gray, and then the creamy light blue gray. But they're not the same, and it's kind of like that everywhere. So, you know, I think that this is actually a cooler paint schemed, a cooler paint paletted figure than I did previously. I'm not even sure if I use the right term. Paint schemed, paint paletted, what the heck am I talking about? Right here, you can see the little black. Well, I guess I understand why they're black, because they can only make them one color. Mr. Freeze's dome is actually removable. I don't suggest you do it, because then you'll kill him. And I really like the look of this tank, because it's all dinged up. This tank has been through some stuff. Look at that. There's a dent right up there in his air tank. Because he has to wear the dome, because he has to stay below a certain temperature. Otherwise, he'll overheat. Anywho, I wanted to get a closer look at that there face sculpt. That's awesome. That's amazing. They did a great job with this. The goggles kind of looks a little like the classic old Mr. Freeze with just a hint of Schwarzenegger in there. When you want to put the helmet back on, just make sure there's like a little hole there, an indent. Make sure that goes right at the front of the figure and just ta-da! Now he's wearing his dome again. Here is Mr. Freeze in comparison to some other Mr. Freezes. Here he is with some Bat villain rogues. Looking good. All we need is Riddler. Here he is in comparison to some Bat family characters. Basically all the Robins and the Bats and the ladies. Everyone that McFarlane's made. Plus a Tim that I customed. So I think he scales okay. At this point though, we need to check the articulation. What can and can't Victor here do? Well, you can automatically see that he's going to have torso articulation. And it's just a little loose. Mine's a little loose, and that could just be mine. When you have him down a bit further, leaning forward a little bit more, it tightens up. But when he's right there in that sweet spot, it's really not so bad. It's a little wiggly. Okay, so it's perhaps a lot wiggly, just in this spot though. Like I said, everywhere else is nice and tight. And considering he's wearing that great big piece of chest armor or cooling, because this whole suit is to cool him down, right? I'm going to call it armor, cooling armor, because he's wearing this great big piece of cooling armor. You'd think it would get in the way more, but it really doesn't. He also is going to have that 360 waist, but it's hard for me to get a hold of it and turn it. I need like enough finger space. There, see? That'll be 360. And the shoulders, the pauldrons are nice and soft, and they move whoop right out of the way as if they weren't even there. It's almost like he's not wearing any pauldrons at all. Got the round circle with the little socket there. Gives a good range of motion. You're going to have a 360 bicep. You're going to have double jointed elbows that go do more than 90 degrees. And I suppose you needed to have the double jointed elbows just to get that much. What are you going to do? For usually the elbow articulation on these figures is really awesome. This guy's not exactly like a contortionist, so, you know, I'm not going to freak out. He just needs to hold his free. He's going to look cool on my shelf. And then you have the rounded hinge in the wrist. course, it gives a full range of motion. Don't really need to go into that. Pop his helmet off here for a second, and his head gets a great range, though. Look at that. That's fantastic. And, of course, down here, he has the particular groin setup that McFarlane likes to use. And it's, you know, it's all right. It's good. It's, I don't know, no real complaints there. Doesn't get, like, Jack Monkey spit as far as anything rotative there. He gets the double jointed knees, which, I mean, those are good enough for a person like me. And then, of course, the ankle. Not super. One click. One click each way, plus the toe, plus the pivot. He's also got boot cut articulation, which, honestly, I wasn't expecting. So what do I think about this Mr. Freeze figure from McFarlane Toys? Really, I'm just so stoked we have a Mr. Freeze. I think he looks great. I love the look of this Mr. Freeze. I thought that I was going to want something different, but I'm actually really satisfied with this now that I've got it in hand. It's articulated enough for what I need it to be. So overall, I do think he's a very solid figure. He's a really good attempt at the character. He looks really great. And he's sure to be one of McFarlane's more popular Batman villains. I think one of the things that a lot of us DC fans want to do is build out our Superman, Batman, and Flash Rogues galleries. And this Mr. Freeze is another great entry into Batman's Rogues gallery. Anyway, that's all for now. Have yourself a super awesome DC day, and I'll see you next time. Take care.